Welcome here inside the Alico building, the 21st floor, Waco, Texas. I'm Pete Sousa. It is the Pete Sousa Show. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, let's go up a little higher there, right? Happy to be here today. We got Scotty Swingler on the wheels of steel, and Cam Stewart was just in here. You can tell it's like a rat's nest. But it's a great Saturday or great Friday. Not quite Saturday yet. A great Friday morning. I was up early. I'm coming straight over here from a call in the Big 12 cross-country championships. It was at Cottonwood Creek Golf Course. And I'll tell you, I'm happy to have it behind me in a sense where that's the first time I've ever called. I've done a lot. I guess I've done a bunch of Olympic sports, but I've never done cross country. And I was like very nervous because more so because of all the different names. But you know, preparation can take care of that. And I had a great partner, this guy, John Nouns, who ran at Iowa State. The BYU, I'll just give you a quick report. BYU men's and women's swept. The women's team won and the men's team won. And this one girl for West Virginia, Kaylee McCabe, she was a runner for Canada in Paris at the Olympics. She finished first, like going away. And there was one, I thought I had my big moment. There was a moment where these two runners, the course went left and they kept going straight. I didn't think I had any kind of moment, but like, that was my like wide world of sports. Like I was like, oh, look at this, but they corrected and came back quickly. I was like, is there anything to that? To the analyst, he was like, nah, not really. I was like, oh, okay. Yeah, it was a lot of fun. I love the Big 12 for giving me opportunities like that, and you love all that stuff is like just like breaking down like certain walls. I was like, man, it's been hanging over me for like all week. I've been like very nervous about doing it, but. Yeah, it went great. And once it starts, it's so easy because I know how to do broadcast, but it's just kind of like it's just like anything in life you've never done before. I was like, how is this going to look? How is it going to go? But yeah, it went really good. At least I think until I hear differently. But yeah, it felt really good. Feels good to be here today. Big Saturday coming up tomorrow with college football. Big Saturday here in Central Texas. We had a bunch of the guys up here. Was that yesterday? It was yesterday.
Yeah.
Richard Reese, Sidney Fugar, a couple other players. I mean, this is, and they are, it seems to me, just we've been very fortunate to literally Sawyer Robertson was up here. Richard Reese was up here. And they all seem like Josh Cameron earlier in the week too. They all seem like they're on the same page. They really seem like Richard Reese told us something yesterday I thought was so cool because we talk about Baylor and we talk about faith, and that's part of the deal. And he says he just feels his team coming together. It's interesting, like, with the team winning, like they're up here now doing more like interviews with GXG. Like it's easier for these guys to win 2 games and then come out and start doing interviews. And it's also easier for them to just be out and about. Like Richard Reese said, he was at church earlier this week and he saw 2 of his teammates there who he'd never seen there before. And he thought to himself, like, wow, like this is kind of like, this is maybe going in the right direction. We're all kind of vibing here and we're all sort of being moved by the same big stuff, whether it's faith, whether it's winning, whether it's being a good teammate. But something is building at Baylor and something will be on full display Saturday night. And that's the best part about sports and live events is that we don't have to wait long. Like it's, Baylor is a 3-point favorite and we're going to get into all the odds this week and all in bets with Corey Dickman. That's going to be our last segment. After this segment, great conversation coming up with Texas Hall of Famer, a Texas Sports Hall of Fame, Basketball Hall of Fame, Jody Conrad. And then we'll follow that up with my chat with Corey and some of the best picks that you'll ever get. For free. We do this for free, Scotty. Is that amazing?
It is.
We give away these picks for free.
What are we doing?
I don't know what we are doing. You and I were talking a little bit about some of your memories from TCU Baylor earlier games.
Yeah.
Earlier games, I should say, like earlier. I guess it was it's last decade now, but 2013, 2014, that team's coming back to be honored. So that 2013, 2014 team played in Floyd Casey. Is that right?
2013 was the final season of Floyd Casey. 2014, first year in McLean. So you can imagine you close the old building with the championship and you crown the new building with the championship.
Yeah, and that was the 2014 team was the team that almost went to the playoff.
Yeah.
It was them and TCU.
It's a sore spot for both schools. Yeah.
Yeah, they both got left out.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Who got in instead?
Ohio State, who ended up winning the thing.
So when being around here at that point in time, what was the feeling like looking back on that decision?
It was unbelievable. I mean, now it's a given, but that was the first year of the CFP, and the selection committee thing was brand new, right? And so what was so weird is Baylor had dropped a game on the road at West Virginia, and that was the one loss on the season going into that game against TCU. So TCU was ranked higher than Baylor the whole way, and then Baylor beats TCU, and yet for every subsequent week after that, TCU stayed above Baylor in the selection committee's rankings, and everybody in Waco was like head to head, right? The Big 12 did not have a championship game that year, so both teams finished with one loss. And then what was so odd is when they released the final CFP rankings, they flipped Baylor and TCU. So Baylor was 5th and TCU was 6th. So it's almost like, okay, so now you rank us above TCU at the end of the whole thing, but neither of us get in the playoff. And both schools felt, felt disrespected through that. And the committee says, man, we really could have used that extra data point of a championship game, right? Which would have just been a rematch.
Yep.
Which just fed that Baylor feeling of like, well, we won. Like we played them and we won. Put us in, right?
Was the feeling that Ohio State got in on name recognition?
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, certainly. I mean, put those three schools, it's not close, right?
Yeah.
It's kind of like I'm stunned how Ohio State is ranked number 4 right now, and Indiana is still outside of the top 10.
Mm-hmm.
If you flip the names on the jerseys, I think it would be different.
How was trunk or treat last night?
Oh, it was great.
It was?
Yeah. MCC, shout out. They had all their sports teams and like some student organizations are out giving out candy, and it was packed, bro.
Really?
Yeah, kids from all over.
And you just go to a parking lot, or
it's just on campus at MCC. It was a good time.
I would imagine like that's becoming more and more common with kids.
Oh, they're
and their
everywhere.
Parents. Yeah,
they're everywhere. So I came out of church world, right? So like tons of churches. That's been a church thing for a long time. But yeah, now MCC does it. A lot of businesses even I think maybe start doing it. Like,
so as someone who's close to the church and grew up close to the church, you're still good with Halloween.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I was telling Cam this on his show. My mom is a very, very sweet Southern Baptist lady. And so she wasn't so against stuff that, I mean, we did Halloween, we got dressed up, we went trick-or-treating, but she wasn't so like Halloween movies or horror movies. Like that was not really part of my childhood, but we got dressed up and we went trick-or-treating.
Yeah. Trick-or-treating is the best. I didn't have any trick-or-treaters last night. Maybe that's because my reputation precedes me. But I would have, I mean, if one person came and knocked at the door, I promise I have sweets. I would have delivered, but no bueno last night, which was fine with me. One thing I'm looking forward to, and this is like shooting ahead, but I got to talk about it, is that coming up, we are now 2 weeks away. Okay, 14 days, November 15th, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul from American Airlines in Dallas. Oh no, I think it's from Jerry World. I think it's going to be at AT&T. It is. Mike Tyson right now looks like the Incredible Hulk on Instagram. He just posted something today, and it gives the idea that like, wow, this is going to be quite the event, right? I mean, look, and that's what boxing has been for so long. You have the purists, and you have folks who are going to say, well, Jake Paul's not a fighter. This isn't real boxing. But look, from a promotional standpoint, this is not hard to get behind. What do you got, Scotty?
Oh, I was just looking up the Instagram photo you were talking about. I was trying to see if I could throw it up here, but
So
I don't know
can
that
you?
I give me a second.
Give it a shot. I mean, see if you can. We can test some stuff out.
I don't have an Instagram right now, so it's trying to get me to log in.
That's good that you don't have an Instagram.
Let me work for a second.
Yeah, don't even get me started on that. Nobody should have an Instagram.
Give me 2 minutes.
Yeah. Yeah, so Mike Tyson has said that Jake Paul is a dangerous opponent, but he says he's going to beat him. And I think Mike Tyson is going to kick his ass. I think that Mike Tyson views this as a bit of a legacy, a date with destiny, because not only does he get to remind people of just how dangerous he was, but this is totally doable. He's not going in the fight. He's not fighting a boxer. He's fighting Jake Paul. And trust me, I'm the ultimate sucker. About 2 years, I think it came out 2 years ago now. But the Jake Paul documentary was on Netflix. I soaked the whole thing up. I watched it. I got to give the guy major props. There was some stuff from his childhood that were sort of weird, right? Like I feel like him and his brother, there was a point in time where they were just putting negative energy out there. And so that was no good, but I think he's grown up a little bit. It seems like he's pretty accountable. And if you want to get a little tail of the tape, Mike Tyson, 5'10", Jake Paul 6'2". Mike Tyson weighs 220, Jake Paul 205. Tyson's record is 50-6 as a pro boxer. Jake Paul is 9-1. Mike Tyson, 31 years his senior. So that's sort of scary. If there's one thing that could defeat Mike Tyson, I don't think it's Jake Paul. I think it's Father Time. And I really cannot wait to see. One of the things that I'm looking forward to most is the pomp and circumstance that comes with something like this. I think that there will be an electricity in that venue for that fight. And I don't think it's anything anyone's going to miss. And you can watch it free on Netflix. Scotty,
I got that Instagram photo.
Can you put it up? Wow. I mean, there you go. This is a dude who is all business right now. Forget about the fact that he's the baddest man on the planet. Maybe not anymore, but certainly has it in his DNA still. And it looks like he's in better shape in that fight right there, or getting ready for this fight right there, than he was for, I'm sure, more than a handful in his prime.
How long has it been since he fought?
Well, he had an exhibition against Roy Jones a couple years ago, but that wasn't anywhere near like a real fight. And then I think his last fight, I think he lost to this guy, Kevin McBride. No, Dan, let me see. Yeah, his last fight, I feel like it was like 2006. The last fight that Tyson had, where I was like, oh, like I was hanging on to like a Mike Tyson comeback.
Yeah.
He got his ass kicked, and it was like very clear that it was over for him. But by the way, how old do you think he is? Don't look anything up. This is crazy.
I don't even
didn't know he was
I
that
don't even
old.
know where to start guessing. I'm going to say he's 65.
He's 58.
Okay.
65.
Dude, I was born right at that funny time where
Yeah.
like I do not remember watching Tyson fight. But I wish I did. I actually learned who Mike Tyson was because when I was a kid, I was born in 1992.
Yeah.
And when I was like 2 and 3 years old, even, my dad had an old Nintendo Entertainment System from college.
Yeah.
And we played the heck out of Mike Tyson's
Punch Out. Yeah.
Yeah, all
Dude.
the time.
Man, so did I. So I used to love that.
So as a kid, if you asked me about Mike Tyson, I wouldn't have told you about a fighter. I would have told you about the video game character.
All right. The end of his career was more like a bad movie, not even a video game. It's funny how you remember stuff. So I basically said the funny actor, Danny McBride, as the last person he fought, but it was actually Kevin McBride. And the person he fought before that, the fighter, was Danny Williams. He lost both of those fights. And they were about a year apart. He beat Clifford Etne. I remember that. He beat him in 49 seconds. It was the first fight he had after the tattoo, after he got the face tattoo, and it was pretty exciting. I remember I was watching that with my parents. That was like one of my last. No, I wasn't quite done drinking and partying yet, but I was close. So, and then before that, okay, the fight where I felt like we had a shot, because I was a Tyson guy my whole life. He came back to fighting. He lost to Holyfield twice, right? The ear biting incident was the one that was in 97, June 28th, 97. And then he came back and he fought Francois Botha. He was away from the ring for like 2 years because he couldn't get licensed. And he beat Francois Botha. Then Julius Francis, a TKO, Lou Savarese, I remember that, at TKO, and knocked out Lennox Lewis. He lost to Lennox Lewis. And that was in 2002, June 8th, 2002. It was at the Pyramid in Memphis because that was one of the only places he could get sanctioned to fight. And Lewis really beat the shit out of him. It was the fight, I think, lasted, I think it was 8 rounds. And it was not even, I mean, it was not a good look. Tyson got beat pretty bad. And he ended up getting knocked out. I think it was like a TKO. But I look, I'm here for it. I got to say, will you watch that?
Yeah, I will try to find someone to watch it with. So my generation, it was all, Mayweather, Pacquiao. That's we grew up watching. I bet on them when I was working in the restaurant scene.
Yeah.
We'd all go watch the fights. I have a question for you. Do you think this fight will draw more views than when Conor McGregor fought Floyd Mayweather?
Yes.
Because that's probably the biggest one I remember of, like,
yeah,
everyone watched that fight just because the crossover was so fascinating and they were so different.
I think that there's a whole wave of people like my generation and older that, whether they care to admit it or not, Mike Tyson still means a lot to them. And if they can watch it for free and it's on Netflix right away, again, there's an association with Netflix that there's a connective tissue there. You turn your TV on, you hit Netflix. Okay. I can, like, even if
that's a great point.
If I'm 60 years old, I can manage that. Right? Like, I'm not doing pay-per-view. I'm not. And I think that it's right there. It's accessible. And I think that we're going to see the appeal that Mike Tyson has. And I mean, Jake Paul, come on. You really have.
He's a star. I mean, yeah.
Oh, he's a superstar. So if you've really got pop culture covered for like the last 50, 60 years.
Right.
I mean,
I think what's hard to measure, though, is like with the pay-per-view.
Let's say 40 years.
With the pay-per-view, like, I went to a party where there was like 30 of us around a massive TV in a house watching, right? And we bought, one guy, we split it, right? And or like, you go to the restaurants that you pay the $5 cover at the door and you get to see the fight. Like I wonder how
those numbers get skewed.
Yeah, well, like, are restaurants gonna? I mean, I'm sure they are, but like, are they gonna have Netflix up? And
I guarantee, yeah, I guarantee.
It's just interesting the way
and let's make so the 15th, and that's a Friday, correct? Yeah, let me just make sure.
Yeah, because today's the 1st.
Yeah, so that's smart because you're not going toe to toe with big time college football. You're going toe to toe with some college football games
or NFL.
Yeah, no, or NFL. You're right. And let's see, like the 15th on a Friday, you might not even Texas high school playoffs. I don't think, not yet, at least. Maybe they start, but
I don't think the whole country is worried about Texas high school playoffs starting.
That's a great point, Scotty. Yeah. All right, we're coming back with the Hall of Famer Jody Conrad, waiting in the wings. An amazing personality and amazing contributions to the women's game. We get into it all on the Pete Sousa Show, powered by the Rogue Media Network.
It's the Pete Sousa Show. Sports, Pete.
Nobody tells our stories better than our clients.
The difference is stark. I was rear-ended at a stop. I thought I was fine, and then once I got home, I realized it's a lot worse than I thought. I ended up having a ruptured disc. You say you're not hurting, and then an hour later, you're saying you're in all this pain. I just felt like most people